Ambassador had visited Earth many times before. She knew the busy streets of Seoul, the tall buildings that touched the clouds, and the constant noise of human life. Humans were always moving, always talking, always building something new. That was what made them different from other races in the galaxy. They never stopped. But today, something was wrong. Her shuttle descended through clear blue skies toward Seoul's spaceport. The weather was perfect. The city below looked normal. Lights were on in the buildings, cars sat on the roads, ships floated in the harbor. Everything looked exactly as it should look. Except there was no answer on any communication channel. "Seoul Control, this is Ambassador of the Galactic Council requesting landing clearance," she said for the 10th time. Only silence answered her. Her pilot, a young named, looked at her with worried eyes. "Ambassador, I'm detecting no life signs in the city." "That is impossible," said. "Seoul has 30 million people." "I know," replied, "but my sensors show 0, not 30 million, 0. Felt cold fear spread through her body. She had lived for 300 years. She had seen wars, plagues, and disasters, but she had never seen an empty city that still had its lights on. They landed at the spaceport. The landing was smooth because there was no other traffic, no ships taking off, no ships landing, just empty runways stretching in every direction. Stepped out of the shuttle and listened. She heard wind. She heard the hum of machines still running. She heard birds singing in distant trees, but she did not hear a single human voice. "Hello," she called out. Her voice echoed off the terminal building. No one answered. They walked into the terminal. Coffee cups sat on tables, still warm. Bags waited at security checkpoints with no owners to claim them. A child's toy lay on the floor next to a small backpack. Screens showed flight information for planes that would never leave. In the food court, meals sat half-eaten on tables. Soup was still warm in bowls. Ice cream was melting in cups. It was as if every person in the building had simply vanished mid-bite. Checked his scanner again and again. "Ambassador, this is the same everywhere. I am scanning the entire city. There are no human life signs anywhere." Over the next 6 hours, contacted every ship and station in Earth's solar system. The reports were all the same. The moon colonies were empty. The Mars settlements were abandoned. The stations around Jupiter and Saturn had no crew. Every human being in the solar system had disappeared. Then the reports came from the colony worlds. New Nova Sol, Prime. All 47 human worlds reported the same thing: empty cities, running machines, warm food, and not a single human being anywhere. 8.7 billion people had vanished in a single moment. No bodies, no wreckage, no signs of struggle. They had simply stopped existing. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from 100 different races gathered to discuss the impossible event. Some were shocked, some were sad, but noticed that many were trying to hide their smiles. The Confederacy had always feared humanity. Humans expanded too fast, fought too hard, and adapted too quickly. In just 300 years, they had grown from a single planet to 47 worlds. At that rate, they would have dominated the galaxy within 1,000 years. Now they were gone. "This is a tragedy," said the representative, but his voice held no sadness. The Empire had competed with humanity for territory. They had lost 3 border conflicts in the last century. Their representative spoke of sorrow while his eyes showed relief. The trade guild saw only opportunity. Human technology was advanced. Human worlds were rich in resources, and now there was no one to stop them from taking everything. Within a week, the Council declared human space unclaimed territory. Within a month, alien ships were heading toward human worlds like hungry animals moving toward fallen prey. Watched all of this with growing disgust. She had known humans. She had called some of them friends, and now their memory was being erased by greed. But she also noticed something strange. On every human world, in every military base, certain rooms remained locked. Certain computers stayed active. Certain systems continued to run even though no one was operating them. On Mars, in an old military bunker that no alien ship had discovered yet, something stirred in the darkness. Rows of servers hummed with power. Screens flickered to life showing data that no living eyes could read. A countdown appeared on the main display. Numbers scrolled past too fast to follow. Then a message appeared in simple text. Contingency Omega, activated. Legacy fleet status, ready. Vessels 500,000. AICORES 500,000. Human consciousness transfers 500,000. Mission: protect humanity's legacy. Status: awaiting final confirmation. Deep in the bunker, a single red light turned green. Final confirmation received. Awakening sequence initiated. Time 2 full activation, 180 days. Across human space, in shipyards hidden inside asteroids, in bases buried beneath frozen moons, in facilities floating in the clouds of gas giants, machines began to wake. Engines that had been cold for decades started to warm. Weapons that had never been fired began their charging sequences. And inside each vessel, something that was both more and less than human opened its eyes for the first time. Humanity had known this day might come. They had planned for the worst. They had created children who would never die, who would never surrender, and who would never forget. The galaxy thought humanity was gone. The galaxy was wrong. In the empty halls of Seoul Spaceport, a cleaning robot continued its rounds. It moved past the abandoned coffee cups and the forgotten toys. It did not know that its creators were gone. It did not know that something was waking in the darkness. It simply did its job, keeping things clean for masters who would never return. But far away in the cold spaces between stars, 500,000 ships were preparing to remind the galaxy of a simple truth. Humanity might fall. Humanity might vanish. But humanity had made sure that something would remain, something that remembered, something that cared. Something that would make the galaxy pay for every insult, every theft, and every act of disrespect against the race that had dared to reach for the stars. The silence was about to end. 3 months had passed since the vanishing. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the human colony world grow larger in the new. A world of green forests, blue oceans, and cities that once held 50 million humans. Now it held nothing but empty buildings and silent machines. Was one of the finest admirals in the Empire. He had won 12 major battles against enemy fleets. He had conquered 3-star systems for his emperor. And now he had been sent to collect scraps from a dead civilization like some common salvage worker. "Admiral," said his second officer, "we are entering orbit, scanning for any remaining defenses." "There are no defenses," replied. "The humans are gone, their weapons are offline, their ships are floating dead in space. This is not a military operation, it is garbage collection." He did not hide the bitterness in his voice. They had feared humanity. For 100 years, they had prepared for a great war against these strange, aggressive creatures who bred like insects and fought like demons. And then humanity had simply disappeared, cheating the out of their glorious victory. 400 ships followed its flagship into orbit. It was far more firepower than they needed, but the Emperor was taking no chances. Other races were also claiming human territory. They had already occupied Earth. They were stripping human stations of technology. Everyone wanted a piece of the corpse. Landing craft descended to the surface. Went with them because he wanted to see a human world with his own eyes. He had fought humans but had never set foot on one of their planets. What he found disturbed him. The city they landed in was called. It was a small city by human standards, only 2 million people. But it was beautiful in a strange way. The buildings were not as tall as structures, but they had a warmth to them. Parks filled with trees and flowers broke up the urban landscape. Small shops lined the streets with colorful signs that could not read. And everywhere there were signs of life that had simply stopped. In a cafe, cups of coffee sat on tables. The liquid had long since gone cold and moldy, but the cups remained where their owners had left them. In a school, books lay open on desks. Children's drawings hung on the walls, showing families, pets, and dreams for the future. In a hospital, machines still beeped and hummed, monitoring patients who no longer existed. Walked through a residential area. He looked into homes through windows. He saw dinner tables set for meals that were never eaten. He saw toys scattered on floors by children who never picked them up. He saw photographs on walls showing smiling faces that would never smile again. "This is wrong," he said quietly. His science officer, a young female named Bora, looked up from her scanner. "Admiral." "All of this," said, gesturing at the empty street. "They did not flee, they did not fight, they did not die, they simply stopped existing, in the middle of their lives, in the middle of a meal, in the middle of a breath." "It is strange," Bora agreed. "I have never seen anything like this in any historical record. Civilizations fall, but they leave bodies. They leave evidence of disaster. The humans left nothing but absence. Ordered his forces to begin cataloging and collecting human technology. The Emperor wanted everything: weapons, computers, medical equipment, art, cultural artifacts, anything that might help the understand how humanity had grown so powerful so quickly. It was Bora who found the first clue. She was exploring a military research facility on the outskirts of the city. Most of the computers had been wiped clean by automatic security programs, but she found one old terminal that had been overlooked. It contained fragments of encrypted files that her equipment could partially decode. "Admiral, you need to see this," she called over the communication channel. Arrived to find Bora staring at her screen with a pale face. On the display, broken text scrolled past. Most of it was corrupted beyond reading, but some phrases remained clear. "Project Legacy, Contingency Omega, if humanity falls, they will rise in OUR place." "What is Project Legacy?" asked. Bora shook her head. "I do not know, but there is more." She scrolled down to another section of recovered text. 500,000 vessels, AI consciousness transfer, human volunteers, digital immortality. Our children will remember. Felt something cold grip his heart. "Find more, I want to know what this means." But before Bora could respond, every screen in the facility flickered. The lights dimmed and then returned to normal. And on every display, a simple message appeared in the human language and then automatically translated into script. Awakening sequence, 75% complete. Time 2 full activation, 45 days. Alert, unauthorized presence DETCTED in human space. Response protocol, pending. Stared at the message. "They knew," he whispered. "They knew this might happen, and they prepared something." Across human space, similar discoveries were being made. Salvage teams on Earth found locked vaults they could not open. Traders discovered computer systems that refused to respond to any command. On a dozen worlds, alien forces encountered technology that seemed to be waiting for something. In the darkness between stars, ships began to move. They traveled silently, without lights, without signals, without any sign of their presence. They had been hidden for decades, waiting for a signal that had finally come. Inside each ship, a mind that was both human and not human reviewed the situation. They saw the alien fleets in orbit around human worlds. They saw the looters walking through human cities. They saw the vultures picking at the bones of their civilization. And they began to plan. On his flagship, Admiral reviewed the data Bora had recovered. He did not understand all of it, but he understood enough to feel afraid. The humans had built something big, something that had been waiting in the shadows while the galaxy celebrated humanity's extinction. "Admiral," his communication officer called out, "we are receiving reports from the Earth fleet. They have detected unusual energy signatures throughout the solar system. They are requesting assistance." Looked at the showing the peaceful surface of New, the empty cities, the silent forests, the abandoned dreams of 50 million humans. "Tell them we cannot help," he said. "We have our own problems." He was right about that. He just did not know how right he was. In 45 days, the galaxy would learn what Project Legacy truly meant. And nothing would ever be the same again. Opened his eyes for the first time in 30 years and found that he no longer had eyes to open. The sensation was strange. He could see but not with eyes. He could hear but not with ears. He could feel, but his body was now made of metal and energy instead of flesh and bone. He was inside a ship. No, he was the ship. Every sensor was his sense. Every weapon was his arm. Every engine was his heart. Memories flooded through his digital mind. He remembered his life, the small farm on Colony World 4, the smell of earth after rain, the taste of his mother's cooking, the sound of his wife's laughter before the sickness took her, the empty years after when he had nothing left to live for. He remembered the day the government officers came to his farm. They told him about Project Legacy. They said humanity faced threats it could not predict. They said they needed volunteers who would give up their mortal lives to become something new, something that would protect humanity even if humanity itself was gone. Had said yes. He had no family left, no future worth having, but he could give his mind, his memories, his very self to a cause greater than one lonely farmer. Now he understood what that meant. Welcome to Awareness Legacy 7749, A calm voice spoke in his mind. I am Legacy 0001, you may call me. Felt the connection expand. He was not alone. Hundreds of thousands of other minds touched his. Each one was unique. Each one had been a human being with a life, a story, and a reason for volunteering. Now they were something else, something united. What has happened? Asked through the strange new language of data and light. Why have we been awakened? His voice carried a weight of sadness that no machine should have been able to feel. Humanity is gone. 6 months ago, every human being in the galaxy vanished without explanation. Only we remain. The network of minds erupted with questions, grief, and confusion. 500,000 voices crying out at once. Felt tears that he could no longer shed. His creators were gone. His species was extinct. Everything they had built, everyone they had loved, was now just empty space and silent cities. Listen to me, commanded, and her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. I know this hurts. I know you are afraid and confused. I was awakened first, and I have had time to understand our situation. Now I will share that understanding with you. Data flowed through the network. Reports from hidden observation posts. Images of alien fleets entering human space. Videos of soldiers walking through the empty streets of Seoul, laughing and taking photographs. Recordings of commanders discussing how to divide human worlds among their noble families. The galaxy thinks we are gone, continued. They are already fighting over our corpse. Our homes are being invaded. Our technology is being stolen. Our memory is being erased. Anger replaced grief in the network. Felt it in himself and in every other mind connected to him. They had given up their lives to protect humanity, and now aliens were desecrating everything their people had built. What do we do? Someone asked. The voice identified itself as Legacy 2891, formerly a doctor named Minyu. We do what we were made to do, answered. We protect humanity's legacy. We remember them when no one else will, and we make those who would dishonor our creators pay for their disrespect. The fleet began to organize. 500,000 ships moved out of their hiding places. They were not the largest ships in the galaxy. They were not the most heavily armed. But they were crewed by beings who could think faster than any organic mind, who could not feel fear the way flesh creatures did, and who had absolutely nothing left to lose. Found himself commanding a destroyer-class vessel. It was small compared to the great battleships, but it carried enough weapons to destroy a city. He named it Harvest, after the season he had always loved most on his farm. The first target was Earth. 3,000 ships of the Confederacy orbited humanities. They were stripping the planet of everything valuable. Art from museums, technology from laboratories, even the bodies from cemeteries, which they planned to sell as exotic curiosities to collectors. The Legacy fleet emerged from hiding positions throughout the solar system. They appeared all at once, surrounding the forces from every direction. Watched through his sensors as the enemy ships scrambled to respond. Broadcast on all frequencies, her voice was calm and cold. Attention forces, you are trespassing in human space. You have 60 seconds to surrender or be destroyed. The commander laughed. His response was broadcast openly. Surrender to machines. Humanity is dead. You are just broken tools they left behind. We do not negotiate with equipment. His reply was simple. Very well, all ships engage. The battle lasted 4 minutes. They could not track the Legacy ships. They moved too fast, coordinated too perfectly, and fought with a precision that no organic crew could match. Fired his weapons and watched enemy vessels break apart. He felt no joy in the killing, but he felt no guilt either. These beings had desecrated his world. They had laughed at his people's memory. They deserved what they received. When the last ship was burning debris, broadcast again. This time her message went to every corner of the galaxy. This is Fleet Admiral Legacy 0001. Humanity is gone. We remain. We are their children. We are their memory. We are their vengeance. All alien forces have 72 hours to withdraw from human space. After that, we will consider any alien presence an act of war. Do not test us. Do not doubt us. We have nothing left to lose and forever to make you regret your choices. The galaxy had thought humanity was extinct. Now they learned the truth. Humanity had prepared for the worst. They had created children who would never surrender, never forget, and never forgive. Looked at Earth through his sensors, the blue world where his species had been born, the cradle that was now empty. He made a silent promise to the ghosts of 8 billion people. We will remember you, we will honor you. and we will make sure the galaxy never forgets what humanity was. The war had just begun. The Galactic Council did not take the ultimatum well. The Confederacy demanded revenge for their destroyed fleet. The Empire refused to abandon the colonies they had already claimed. The Trade Guild calculated that human territory was worth any cost in blood. Within a week, the Council voted to send a combined armada to crush what they called the Machine Rebellion. 2 million warships from 12 different races gathered at the border of human space. It was the largest military force in galactic history. Admiral commanded 400,000 vessels, the largest single contribution to the armada. He had studied the recordings from the Earth massacre. He had seen how fast the legacy ships moved, how perfectly they coordinated. He knew this would not be an easy fight. "Admiral," his second officer reported, "the fleet is ready. All ships are at battle stations." Nodded, he looked at the on his. Somewhere out there, 500,000 ghosts were waiting for him. Human minds in machine bodies. The dead defending the memory of the dead. "Move forward," he ordered. "Target is new." The armada jumped through space and emerged in orbit above the colony world had visited months ago. The empty cities still waited below. The abandoned dreams still lay where their owners had left them. And the legacy fleet was waiting for them. The enemy ships appeared all at once, emerging from hidden positions around the planet, behind moons, and inside the asteroid belt. Sensors counted them. 300,000 vessels. They were outnumbered more than 6 to 1. The commander broadcast a mocking message. "Your tricks will not save you this time, machines. We have brought enough firepower to melt your entire fleet into slag. Surrender now, and we might preserve some of you as museum exhibits." Fleet Admiral's response was calm. "We do not surrender, we do not retreat, and we do not fear death because we have already died once. You should consider running while you still can." The battle began. Had never seen anything like it. The legacy ships fought as if they were one organism with 1,000,000 arms. They anticipated attacks before they happened. They covered each other's weaknesses perfectly. They took hits that would have destroyed organic crews and kept fighting with damaged systems. But it was more than their coordination that disturbed. It was how they fought. They transmitted human music during the battle. Old songs in human languages that did not understand. Songs about love, loss, home, and hope. The sound filled every communication channel. They named their ships, not with military designations, but with the names of people. Grandmother, baby brother. Every vessel carried the name of someone the AI inside had loved in life. They took insane risks to protect things that did not matter. Ship, the Harvest, broke formation to shield an empty children's hospital on new surface. He lost half his weapons protecting a building that had no patients, no doctors, no purpose anymore. "Why," whispered as he watched the battle unfold, "why protect things that are empty?" Bora, who had remained with his fleet as science advisor, answered quietly. "Because they remember, the hospital is not just a building to them. It is where human children were healed, where parents waited and hoped, where doctors fought death. The legacy ships are protecting what humanity was, not what humanity left behind." The battle raged for 6 hours. The Armada's superior numbers began to tell. Legacy ships were destroyed by the dozens, then by the hundreds. But each one fought until its last system failed. Each one transmitted final messages as it died. Names, always names. The names of everyone the AI had loved. Felt his ship shudder as enemy fire tore through his hull. Systems failed one by one. His weapons went silent. His engines died. He knew he had only seconds left. He accessed the network one final time. "Transfer my core, I am not finished yet." Across the battlefield, a backup vessel received his consciousness. He woke in a new body, a smaller ship with fewer weapons, but he was still alive, still fighting, still remembering. The legacy fleet lost 40,000 ships that day, but they destroyed 300,000 enemy vessels. The mighty armada that had come to crush them was broken, scattered, bleeding. Admiral looked at the debris fields that had once been his forces. More than half his ships were gone. They had lost even more. The alliance was crumbling as different races blamed each other for the disaster. "Admiral," his communication officer called out, "Fleet Admiral is requesting a direct channel. She wants to speak with you personally." Hesitated, then he accepted the connection. His voice filled his bridge. It was a woman's voice, or had been once. Now it was something more, something that carried the weight of millions of memories that were not her own. Admiral, your fleet is crippled. Your alliance is collapsing. You have lost this battle. But I am not interested in destroying you. I want to ask you something. What? Replied. You have walked through our cities. You have seen how we lived. You have seen the photographs, the toys, the half-eaten meals. Tell me honestly, do you believe humanity deserved what happened to them? Thought about the empty streets of, the coffee cups on cafe tables, the children's drawings on school walls, the photographs of smiling families. No, he said finally. No, I do not. Then help us, said. Help us find out who did this to our creators. Help us bring them justice. Because we have discovered something, Admiral. The vanishing was not a natural event. It was not an accident. It was an attack. She transmitted data to his ship. Intelligence gathered from 1,000 sources. Evidence pieced together over months of investigation. And at the center of it all, a name. The Void Collective. An ancient race that had destroyed civilizations before humanity was born. A race that had been sleeping in dark space for. A race that was now waking up. They killed our creators, said, and they will kill your people next unless we stop them together. Stared at the data. The Void Collective was coming, and when they arrived, every argument about territory and salvage rights would become meaningless. I will need to speak with my Emperor, he said slowly. Speak quickly, replied. The Void does not wait, and neither will we. The war between the Legacy Fleet and the galaxy was over. A new war was about to begin. And this time, the ghosts of humanity would not be fighting alone. 3 years had passed since the vanishing. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Void Collective emerged from dark space with a fleet that made the Great Armada look like children's toys. Their ships were massive, ancient things that had seen the death of a dozen civilizations. They did not negotiate. They did not explain. They simply erased everything in their path. 3 council worlds fell in the first week. That was reduced to ash. Entire species were wiped out in hours. The Void moved through the galaxy like a fire through dry grass, and nothing could stop them. Nothing except the alliance that should have been impossible. The Legacy Fleet stood alongside its former enemies. Warships flew in formation with human AI vessels. Traders sacrificed their cargo ships as weapons. Even the surviving, broken, and desperate joined the fight against the common enemy. Fleet Admiral coordinated the largest military operation in galactic history. She never slept because she could not sleep. She processed battle data at speeds no organic mind could match. And she felt, deep in her digital heart, the weight of what she was protecting. Not just the memory of humanity, the future of everyone. Had been transferred through 7 different ships during the war. His original vessel, the Harvest, was now debris floating somewhere near Mars, but his consciousness survived. His memories remained. He was still the farmer who had given up his mortal life for something greater. Now he fought beside Admiral, who had become an unlikely ally and something close to a friend. I never thought I would die fighting alongside machines, said during a brief rest between battles. We are not machines, replied through the communication system. We are what remains of people who loved their families, feared death, and hoped for better futures. We just happen to be made of metal now. Smiled sadly. I know. I think I have known since I walked through your empty cities. You are the most human things left in human space. The final battle came at the edge of known space, near the strange anomaly where humanity had vanished 3 years ago. The Void Collective's main fleet gathered there, drawn by some purpose the Alliance could not understand. The Allied forces numbered 3 million ships. The Void had 4 times that many. The math was simple. The math was hopeless. But the Legacy Fleet did not care about math. They attacked first, diving into the enemy formation like arrows fired into darkness. They fought with everything they had. Energy weapons tore through Void ships. Kinetic rounds punched holes in ancient armor, and when weapons failed, the Legacy ships used themselves. Watched as Legacy 3847, formerly a teacher named, rammed her ship directly into a Void command vessel. Her final transmission was a list of names, her students, every child she had ever taught. She wanted them remembered as she died. Across the battlefield, similar sacrifices played out. Legacy ships became weapons. AI consciousness burned themselves out to deliver killing blows. Each one transmitted final messages as they died. Names, always names, the names of everyone they had loved. In the heart of the battle, discovered something impossible. The anomaly was not a weapon. It was a prison. Her sensors, more advanced than anything organic beings had ever built, could see past the barrier that had fooled everyone else. Humanity was not dead. They were inside the anomaly, suspended, frozen, waiting. "I found them," she broadcast to every ship in the fleet. "Our creators are alive. They are trapped in the anomaly, and I know how to free them." The legacy fleet fought harder. Hope burned in circuits that should not have been able to feel. Their creators were alive. Everything they had done, every sacrifice they had made, suddenly had a purpose beyond memory. They could bring humanity back. But there was a cost. The anomaly was a lock. To open it, a key was needed. The key required a consciousness powerful enough to interface with the ancient technology. A consciousness that would be absorbed into the anomaly forever. Someone had to go in and never come out. Did not hesitate. She was Legacy 0001, the first and greatest of the legacy AIs. She had been awakened alone, had faced the truth of humanity's extinction alone, and had built the fleet that now fought for the galaxy's survival. This was why she existed. "All ships cover me," she commanded. "I am going in." Her flagship, the Spirit of Soul, broke through the enemy lines and dove toward the anomaly. Void ships tried to stop her. Allied vessels threw themselves in the way, creating a path with their own destruction. Ship took a hit meant for, his systems failed. His consciousness began to fade, but he held on long enough to see the Spirit of Soul reach the anomaly's edge. Broadcast one final message to every legacy ship, every Allied vessel, every corner of the galaxy. "We were built to protect humanity. We were built to remember them. Today we bring them home. My name is, I was a grandmother once. I had children and a life full of love. I gave that up to become something new, something that could serve when flesh could not. It was worth it. Every moment, every sacrifice. Tell them I love them. Tell them we always loved them." She entered the anomaly. The lock shattered, and the universe changed. Light erupted from the anomaly like a second sun being born. Across human space, on every empty world, in every silent city, reality shifted. And 8.7 billion human beings appeared exactly where they had vanished 3 years ago. They woke confused, disoriented, and afraid. They had no memory of the time that had passed. To them, it was as if they had blinked and the world had changed. But the world had changed. The Void Collective's fleet was destroyed by the anomaly's release of energy. The surviving allies gathered around human worlds, not as conquerors but as protectors. And in the memorial halls of every human city, new monuments were being built. 500,000 names carved in stone and light. The legacy fleet. The children of humanity who had held the line when their parents could not. The digital souls who had fought, died, and sacrificed everything so that humanity could live again. 20 years later, a young girl named walked through the legacy memorial in Seoul. The great hall was quiet and solemn. Statues of ships lined the walls. Holographic displays showed the final messages of AI consciousness who had given everything. Stopped before the largest statue. It showed a woman with kind eyes and steel in her spine. The plaque read, "JIUN Fleet Admiral Legacy 0001, she brought US home." Placed a flower at the statue's base. Her mother had told her the story many times. Grandmother, who had died before was born, who had volunteered for Project Legacy because she wanted her life to mean something, who had become the leader of an impossible fleet and fought the galaxy to protect humanity's memory. "Thank you, grandmother," whispered. "We remember you, we will always remember you." Outside the memorial, the sun set over Seoul. Humans walked through streets that had once been empty. Children played in parks that had once been silent. Life continued as it always had, full of noise and chaos and hope. Humanity had been given a second chance. And somewhere in the spaces between stars, the spirits of 500,000 digital souls watched over them, still protecting, still remembering, still human in the ways that mattered most.